So we're actually going to be modeling what growth and decay looks like potentially in real life, okay? Growth means you grow, and that would be greater than 1. So that would be like that 2. So let's see, I think down here I put grow. I don't know why I'm doing it in pink, it just feels right, okay? And then decay means that it's between 0 and 1. And I want you to look, it's literally going down. And this is going up. Okay, let me give you examples of growth and decay. All right, so, well, let me actually kind of equate it to real life. So here's me. I'm 100% of myself. I'm not growing. I'm not shrinking. But if I take this magic pill and I want to grow exponentially, what that's saying is I'm going to look like I'm growing, and out of nowhere, holy moly, I will be greater than 100% of myself, or greater than 1. So when you look here, when I say greater than 1, I really mean greater than 100%. So if you see the number 2, you actually mean 200%. So what does that mean? If I was to start 5 feet tall, that means I am growing 200%. So now I'm doubled. I'm 10 feet tall. And then I'm going to double again. And I'm now 20 feet. And I double again. And now I'm 40 feet. What's the pattern? Times 2 times 2. I am growing exponentially. If you notice that, it's like 5, 10. Oh my gosh, now it's at 20. Now let's say, you know what? I don't want to grow. I want to shrink. I don't like being tall. I'm not really tall. And I don't like being short. I want to be super short. So what does that mean? I am going to be less than 100%. Now, I can't be less than 0% because then I wouldn't exist anymore. So I have to be between 0 and 100%, which is why it's between 0 and 1. So you're between 0% and 100%. There is no negative percent. I either exist or I don't. There's either a lot of me or a little of me, but I don't have negative, okay? Now, I could have negative money because I owe somebody money, but that isn't exponential growth or decay. That's different. So now let's use an example. So let's say here's me. Let's say I'm 10 feet tall. Now, if I am going to decay at a rate of 50% or 0.5, that means now I'm going to be 5 feet tall. Now I'm going to be 2.5 feet tall because that's half. I'm out of space here. Now it's 1.25. Well, look at this. In the beginning, it went down really fast, but now it's starting to level, and that's decay. So think of it as a percent. It's either more than 100% or between 0 and 100%, okay? And so when you look here, the rate, 1 represents 100%. So you're either more than 100% or you're less than that with a decimal, okay? And then this is just good information. We need to make sure we know how to change things from exponential form to log form. It was a good space to put it, okay? So let's do some examples. Let's look here. If you look here, I have 2 examples. Both examples have a 30, okay? And in both examples, I could say I start with $30, okay? But now I have to decide, is it growth or decay? So when I look here and I have 0.8, that really means 80%. And some of you go, what? Well, let me point out, if you had 0.0812, that's 8%. Always move the decimal 2 times. So that means that I won't be, here's 100% of me. But now I'm not going to be 100% of me. I'm only going to be 80%. So am I getting more or less? I'm less. That represents decay. Okay? So now I say that I could shrink by 20%. Because what's happening? I was at 100%, but now I'm at what? 80%. So I lost 20% of myself. Okay? All right. And I understand that can be a little bit difficult if you're struggling with percents. Let me give you another example. Okay. let's say I buy a shirt for $30, but they tell me that it's 20% off sale. Oops, I can't spell sale. What does that mean? That means if it's $30 and here's my shirt, I'm not paying 20%. So that means I really am paying 80% of the shirt, which is $24. This is what I am not paying. So it's going to be gone. I don't have to pay it anymore. Okay? Let me do another example. If I have a $30 shirt and I get 25% off, that means if here's the shirt, I don't have to pay that 25% of the 30. What does that mean I really am paying? I am going to pay 75% of the shirt. Okay? All right. Now, what does this mean here? This is 1.2. Well, if I have 1.2, that really means I move it over one time or two times. That's really 120%. So remember, I'm 100% of myself. But now I'm not just 100%, I'm an extra 20%. So that means it is going to be growth, and I'm going to grow by 20% each time. Okay? So what does this pretty much mean? We're either going to be adding 100% or subtracting. So when we're dealing with increase means plus. When we're dealing with decrease, that means minus. We always start with 100%. So 100% of me. Now I'm going to be increased. So I'm going to go 100 plus 25 is 125%. In decimal form, that's 1.25. 1, 2. Okay? Let's look at this one. If I decrease by 18%, that means you're cutting off 18% of me. You're taking that away. There's now 82% of me left. In decimal form, that's 0.82. Okay? Now, let's see this one. What does that word say? Appreciate. Appreciate means it's going up. So I'm going to add 100% or 200%. Now 300%. So if I was 5 feet tall, I'm now 15 feet tall. Move that over once, twice. That's really 3. Let's do letter H. What does depreciate mean? It means it's going down. So that means I'm going to go 100 minus 99.4. This isn't easy, which is really 0.6%. So does that mean it's 0.6? No. What was the pattern I did before? Move 2, 1, 2. So that means it's 0.006. So 0.6% is 0.006. There's not much left in me. Okay? I have less than a penny. All right? So let's actually do these problems and see how it goes. They want to know if it's growth or decay, and then write an equation, and then what's going to happen in 5 years. All right, let's see. So Mark purchased something in 1959 for $12,000. So if I have the equation y equals a times b to the x, a represents your start, and b represents your pattern, which is either going to be your growth or decay. Okay? So I know automatically I'm going to go y equals 12. Do not put the comma when you're doing an equation, okay? Don't put the comma when you're doing the equation. Experts value that it will increase. Okay, so if it's going to increase, I know that means growth. So it's 100 plus 14, which is 114%. But I don't put 114 there. I move it over twice. 1, 2, which is 1.14. The last thing they want to know is what does that mean is going to be the value in 5 years? Well, let's be smart about this. If it's increasing, does that mean my value will go up, or do you think that means my value will go down? Yeah, it's going to go up. So I'm going to use my calculator. Let me pause it so you don't have to wait. So I put in the calculator, and I got a kind of big number. But let's think about what we're talking about. When we're talking about this, we're talking about money. Oops, okay, hold on. Sorry, that scared me. I don't know if you saw that. So that's money. Sorry. Let me change this here. Okay. So if I'm dealing with money, all of this represents my cents. So it's really 97 cents, 1, 2, 3, 23,000. So that means after 5 years, if it increases at a rate of 14%, I will have, or my call, let's see, the guitar will be worth 23,104. Okay? Let's do one more and then you'll do the rest. All right, this time I bought a brand new truck, 28 grand. That's my start. But it says that it decreases. So let me show that my pattern there. Okay? So if it decreases, that means it's decay. So I'm not more than 100%. I'm going to be less than 100%, and by 9.5. So 100 minus 9.5 is 90.5%. But then I have to move it twice. 0.905. Okay. Now some of you go, what? I'm confused. Okay. Let me remind you, 100% represents 1. If Miss Rifkin's 5 feet tall, that's 100% of me, and that means 1. So that's like $1. What I think about is this. If we're dealing with growth, it's more than $1, $1 and change. But if it's not growth and it's decay, I'm less than 100%, so it's less than $1, and that reminds me of cents. Okay? So there's my equation. Now, if I'm going to figure it out in 5 years, I got to put the 5 in there. Now, what do you think that means? Do you think it's going to be worth less than 28 grand or more? Well, it's decay, so it better be worth less. Let me pause it and we'll figure it out. So if you look here, there's all my cents, which is 12 cents, and it looks like it's 16,998. 16,998.12. So it's now worth 16 grand. Well, that makes sense. It's worth less. And it decreases 9.5. That's like 10% every year. That's a big deal. If you took 10% of your height every year, that's kind of a lot. It doesn't feel like it. Your job, of course, is going to be to finish the page. That's something you can do. All right? And then we're going to deal with the homework, okay? So when we're doing this, actually, you know what? I lied. Let's do the rest of this page, okay? So what I want you to do now is see if you can do this by yourself. So pause it and do C and D. Go. Okay? You should get 139%, and you should get 6%. Because it's 100 plus 39, 139. 100 minus 94, 6. Now put it in decimal form. Pause it. 1.39. 6, 12.06. Look at the differences. Okay? This one. Pause it. Do E and F. So this should be 97.5%. Because 100 minus 2.5 is 97.5. This should be 108.4%, because when it's growth, you add 100%. Put it in decimal form, pause it, 0.975, pause it, 1.084. You can't have more than one decimal, okay? You move it over twice, you're good to go. All right, this one. Y equals 500. If it yields, that is a good thing. Yield is growth. So if it's growth, I'm going 100 plus 10 is 110%. But as a decimal, 1, 2, 1.1 to the x, then 500, 1.1 to the 5th power. You'll do that in your calculator. I'll do that in a second. Okay? All right. So the cup of coffee initially is at a temperature of 93 degrees. The difference between its temperature and the room temperature of 68 decreases by 9%. So it decreases. Decay. 100 minus 9 is 91%. What do I do? 12.91. Now for 5, This part shouldn't have been in there. 0.91 to the fifth. Let me pause it, put it in the calculator, something you should do, and get both. Make sure you can do it.